Talking football now, let's bring in our friend Jeff Reinebold from Sky Sports NFL coverage. Coach, Black Mondays claim two coaches, Arthur Smith of the Falcons, Ron Rivera of the Commanders. You think are we done for a while, or there's still some coaches to go? What are you thinking?
No, this is the night of the long knives, Rod. This is where, watch what happens. It's almost incredible that once the blood starts to get in the water, now there's going to be more blood. And obviously we saw it with Arthur and we saw it with Ron Rivera, two guys, kind of in different situations. But I'm sure that there's more coming, because the owners, it's a competitive business. Highly competitive guys want to win and certainly win at the highest level. And, we've got three of them open on top of the two that opened up last night. So I'm sure that we'll see something happen in New England, and what that does in terms of the chain reaction that happens in coaching at this time, we'll see. But I don't think it's the end of it.
Yeah, no, me either. And it's interesting. I guess it depends on who you believe. I'm hearing the same thing, that New England looks like there will be an opening there. But let me ask you this. Nice little segue of the national championship tonight. Jim Harbaugh coaching his last college game tonight. That's the popular rumor, and where there's smoke, there's fire.
Well, that seems to be what everybody's saying. And certainly, if he wins the national championship, what more does he have to accomplish at the University of Michigan? Now, that's his school, and obviously he loves that place a great deal. But he's got a great football team. They're going to be favored when they go out on the field tonight against Washington. I was really interested watching Moose's little segment. It's not even subliminal message from Moose. He's a Michigan guy all the way with that hoodie on. But yep. I think you can't look past the Huskies, because Caleb DeBoer is maybe the best kept secret in college football in terms of coaching ability. And Michael Penix can make every throw on the field. The question is going to be, can they stop Michigan's power running game and all the three tight end stuff? And one of the areas that the Pac-12 gets ridiculed a little bit is, are they tough enough out there? And, this is going to be a battle against, it's power against skill, and we'll see who wins.
Well, I'm going back to last week's Rose Bowl. We haven't talked since. That running back from Michigan, he doesn't play. Alabama wins the game. Tonight, who do you think wins, players or coaches and strategy, when it's a one-game showdown like this?
Well, when you're talking about Blake Corum, you're talking about a unique talent guy. And when I was at Hawaii in 2018, we played them. And there were two plays that really stuck out in my mind. He was just a young kid starting for the first time in 2018. And let me just tell you, there were two times, Rod, that we had unblocked players in the hole, and they never even touched him. And I mean, didn't touch him. His ability to make a jump cut and get north and south again, he doesn't have breakaway speed, and he's not that big a guy, but he runs well behind his pads. Like I said, his jump cut ability, which you saw on the one touchdown against Alabama, and you're on the field with the best athletes in the world when you're playing against Alabama. So, I think that he's going to be a key to this. But Michigan's offensive line and that three tight end stuff that they do, they're pretty imaginative on offense and how they can attack your edge, with their gap scheme, and they can pound it inside on you. Are the Huskies going to be able to stop them enough times? And that's what I think is when it's going to come down to. They got to score. Washington has to score when they have the football. They got to get 3s or 7s. They can't go 3 or 4 series without scoring, because Michigan will just, Michigan's like a boa constrictor. They get around you and they just squeeze the life out of you.
For those watching tonight, Blake Corum's the one coach is talking about, 5'8", 210 in the Michigan backfield, and the Wolverines favored by 5.5 at Bet Regal going into this one. Coach, are you sick? You sound a little croaky. Are you all right?
No, I may have got a little chest cold, I think, but it was a long trip back from England. I'm back in Hawaii now, and it's about 16 hours in the air, so breathing that bad air for all that time, that's what got me.
I appreciate you coming on with us, man, for sure, and your expert analysis. Week 18 in the NFL. I don't know if you want to look back or look ahead. There's some playoff teams that are limping in, man. They don't look that good. What's your read on Wild Card Weekend?
Well, there are two wild card games, Rod, that really I'm anxious to watch. And the first one is the Rams going to Detroit. And that storyline is like the NFL couldn't have scripted it better. You got Matthew Stafford going back to Detroit, a place where he was, seen as the savior of the franchise when they drafted him with the first pick in the first round. And he elevated that program about as far as one guy could, and then couldn't get it over the hump. Got an opportunity with the Rams, won a Super Bowl. Jared Goff, the guy that the Rams threw away in the trade and unloaded on Detroit, has now got them in the playoffs and won an NFC championship for the first time in I think 30 years. NFC North championship, and so I think that's going to be a tremendous story. And I'm going to tell you something, don't sleep on these Rams. You look at the Rams down the stretch, and they took Baltimore to overtime. They beat San Francisco. Now, you can say San Francisco didn't play a lot of guys and all that, but you still got to go out and play. And Matthew Stafford's arm talent can be the difference in a game like this. I think it's going to be a really, really good football game. And then the other one is the Dolphins in Kansas City. The Dolphins are kind of in free fall right now. And Kansas City, I've seen a number of places that have come out now and said Kansas City's going to win the Super Bowl. I think you got to tap your brakes a little on that. But, the Dolphins have made it tough on themselves after losing to the Cowboys and then losing to the Ravens.
Hey, I got you. Obviously, all the games are going to be great. I got to ask you, though, what is Mike Tomlin's secret? Because every year, especially when Big Ben went down or retired, that this is going to be the year. This is going to be the year that they don't make it. And they always get a winning record and make it. What's his secret?
I think it's the same thing that's the Steelers' secret, consistency. You look at that franchise, and they have had very few coaching changes. Mike Tomlin is a great communicator. He has he has a very good understanding of his football team. He runs his locker room extremely well. Being a head coach at the highest level, it's somewhat CEO and it's somewhat hands-on. And it's not like college football in that you're a head coach and you're going to be calling plays. He is really truly a top of the food chain guy. I mean, everything runs through him. The whole program is built around his ethos and the Steeler work habits, and they're going to play great defense. And Mason, or Rudolph, the kid they brought in at quarterback, I think he's 3-0 since he took the job. He was the third quarterback. They had to go through all kinds of injuries to kind of come out the other end like they are right now. And their offense has given them just enough. Now, how is TJ Watt's health? That's going to be one you got to watch really closely going into this thing. And then also, you watch that defense now, and Cam Hayward said it really well. He said, we've got a formula. We've got a way to win. We know what we need to do. And now we just got to take it on the road and get it done. It's going to be a tough ask in Buffalo. But, again, when you play defense in the playoffs, whether it's hockey, basketball, football, when you can play defense in the playoffs, you got a chance.
Well, I got to ask you if you've figured out yet. I'm sure you have. What's the story on the Philadelphia Eagles? I saw the stat this morning. No team in the NFL since 1986 has started 10-1 and finished the season with only 11 wins. What happened to them?
It's hard, Rod. It's hard to believe. It really is. I didn't know that stat. Thank you for it. But when you look at them defensively, and you just go by position and go by the three levels of the defense: the front, the linebackers, and the secondary. And you've got outstanding players and depth at all three levels, and they can't stop anybody. Now, the Giants were, anemic on offense, and they go out and, it was unbelievable to watch. And something is not right there. There is really, really a disconnect, I think, in that organization because you've got too many talented players. And they've tried to change coordinators. That hasn't worked. At some point, I think the football team's going to have to take it over. And, Sirianni's starting to get an awful lot of heat on him. They're not scoring points on offense. Their quarterback has, not played as well as he's capable of playing. We've seen him play at really, really at a high level, and he struggled. They're just a team without they're kind of like drifting around without a rudder right now.
Well, and that's the thing is I saw somebody say, well, they're 10-1, but they were lucky to win. They're just not a good team. And you just said it. It's not easy to win. I hate when people say they were lucky to win, especially 10-1.
And anybody in pro football anybody that says you're lucky to win in pro football is, like you may get a bounce or two along the way, but you're not going to be 10-1 by being lucky. You're not winning 10 by being lucky. You're winning 10 because you got good football players and they're playing well. Those are the same football players that are playing now. And they're not playing well, and they're not playing to their capabilities, to the level that they're capable of playing. And, invariably, who does that fall on? And it starts at the top. And I think Nick Sirianni is starting to feel the pressure. Philadelphia's fans and the media are certainly going to let you know when you're not getting it done. And, it's become deafening in the stadium.
From what I understand, you're right. Have you got plans made for Super Bowl? Am I going to see you in Las Vegas?
Well, there is a strong possibility. I'm in a negotiation right now to do the game on radio. And we're trying to dot some I's and, cross some T's and do that. So I'm looking forward to it. When do you get down, Rod? Because, obviously we got to get together.
Wednesday night. And we're piecemealing this together, Coach. But I found a room on the Strip for $22 a night. I was almost looking for a reason not to go, but I think Vegas is like the cheapest city to travel into.
If you found a room for $22 a night, you probably are underneath cardboard with somebody.
Hey, you got an open invitation to stay. I'll find some room for you, Coach. Yeah, so, hey, it's called living right. It's just called living right. In the end, are you going to make your prediction yet on who's going to be in that game, or are you prepared to do that yet?
I think, obviously, I'm going to be, it sounds, repetitive, but I think that the Ravens right now, you've got to say they're going to be on one side of it. And, again, you look at the NFC, and I think the NFC has gotten really interesting since Philadelphia's taken a slide. And I think the 49ers certainly have the ability to, but they also have the ability to not be there. And I think the one that looms out there a little bit is the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are good enough to get there. I really think they're good enough to get there. And it's going to take some, breaks, and they're going to have to play well. They haven't won a playoff game in a long time. So I think the first thing they got to do is get through the first one and get a little confidence going. And, it's like all sports, Rod. You watch hockey, you watch basketball, you watch baseball. When you get hot at playoff time, then you got a great chance if you're healthy and you're hot. And right now, the Cowboys are starting to get healthy, and they're a hot football team.
And Green Bay thinks they're hot. So, they've been good here in the last little bit, and they're trampling all over Aaron Rodgers and saying we made the right decision there, which clearly they did. But I'll tell you something, Coach, I got to say, I admire the fact that you can go back and forth between the media and the sidelines and the sidelines and the media, because I don't know how you could listen to the media and not puke. Like here on the radio, I don't listen to the radio anymore here in Miami because it was all, how come they're not talking about Tua for MVP? How come it's all Dak? How come they're not talking about Tyree? I'm like, why don't you shut up? That doesn't mean these awards don't mean anything. And these are the broadcasters of the team, Coach. Like, I just want to reach into the radio and strangle them. But You know what I mean? Man, drives me nuts.
Oh, you know what? Here's one that amazed me today. Alex Singleton has more 10 tackle games than, I mean, it's an NFL record. He's no player in Broncos history has had more tackles in a season than Alex Singleton. Not Randy Gradishar, not, any of those guys. I mean, they've had great linebackers at that place for a long, long time. And, and this kid can't get to the Pro Bowl. Why? It's called entry bias. His road to the NFL wasn't the typical road. He wasn't drafted. He went to Seattle, got cut, was on a practice roster, got cut, came to the CFL, and used his time in Calgary as an opportunity to get to Philadelphia, leads the Eagles in tackles 2 years in a row, and they get rid of him. Why? Entry bias, right? Well, we got to get better. We got to get better. At what point does it just come down to the guy makes plays? And, I think Alex Singleton, obviously owes an awful lot to the Canadian Football League because it gave him an opportunity, and he will tell you that very same thing. But certainly he's as productive as any linebacker playing today.
Well, I would hate to think that there's a bias, particularly anti-CFL. He's not a blue blood road to the NFL is what you're saying. But these guys that do the voting, I can say this about the NHL because I go to the games. They're watching TV. They're not even – I'm like, guys, the game's down here. And you're voting on the year-end awards? Oh, my God. I get it now. Okay, Coach, take care of yourself. Hope to see you in Sin City, but we'll talk before then.
All right, Rod. Take care. Thank you. Great to be with you.